So several weeks ago, Mr. Dapperton got me into the show Rick and Morty, which meant I wasted a whole week binge watching it, the fargan ice hole. But anyway, yeah, that was after I created my persona, so sorry, the voice isn't based on Rick, it's actually based on Oscar the Grouch. Sounding like Rick is just kind of an awesome coincidence. Anyway, we've been discussing our fan theory and we'd like to share it with you.
The most important characters in Rick and Morty are the Rickest Rick, the Rickest Morty, the Mortiest Morty, and the Mortiest Rick. So what does it mean to be more Rick-like, or to be the Rickest Rick? What does that mean? It means you're the smartest of the Ricks. It means you're the most Rick-like as far as personality. To be the Mortiest Morty, that means you're the dumbest of the Mortys. That means also you're the most Morty-like as far as personality goes. So obviously the Mortiest of the Ricks is pretty dumb.
I like the way creator Justin Roiland put it. Rick has intellectual intelligence, but not emotional intelligence. Morty has emotional intelligence, but not intellectual intelligence. Intellectually, Morty's the dumb one, but emotionally, Rick's the dumb one. They're both opposites in a way that means that they both need each other, but it also means they'll drive each other crazy, and they're destined to be in eternal conflict with each other, even as they go on all their adventures together.
It all started off with the Rickest Rick. He had an original Morty. That Morty became very Rick-like because he was hanging out with the Rickest Rick in the galaxy. Well, the Rickest Rick messes up because he messes up the dimension, which we've seen him do in the past, and he hurt the Rickest Morty in the process. And that caused the Rickest Morty to want revenge. Also, the Rickest Rick might have found the Rickest Morty to be too evil, too Rick-like, so he left the dimension looking for the Mortiest Morty instead. Either way, the Rickest Rick left that dimension in search for a new Morty, the Mortiest Morty, instead of the Rickest Morty.
And you know, it would go without saying that the Rickest Rick would have the Mortiest Morty.
It would go without saying, huh?
Yeah, it would. Did you hear me say it?
Again, he left his original Morty in his original dimension behind and instead went to Dimension C137.
Now, in the original history for Dimension C137, Rick didn't leave Beth. He died on an adventure and Beth never learned about it. So Beth spent years developing daddy issues, thinking her father had left her when he hadn't. The Rick we know as Rick C137 came to this dimension and found the Mortiest Morty. And that's why he suddenly shows back up again in her life. He never told Beth the truth, so Beth thinks that he left her for years and then showed back up again.
He pretends to be the original Rick and takes full advantage of Beth's daddy issues. You know, where she just wants his love, so she'll let him live rent-free. She'll let him put Morty into danger. She'll let him live the rest of his life doing adventures. So in this dimension C137, I would say it's pretty cushy for the Rickest Rick. He gets the Mortiest Morty, he gets a home where he's not hassled.
And then he started going on adventures with the Mortiest Morty. And I think it might also stand to reason that C137 also has the Bethest Beth and the Jerryest Jerry. I'm not sure what it would mean to be the Summerest Summer.
But who looms in the background in several of his adventures? Evil Morty, who wants revenge, who remembers the Rickest Rick's horrible past.
And also the fact that the Rickest Rick abandoned him. That's why he's out for revenge, and he's out for it against all the Ricks. This might also explain why our Rick is so verbally abusive to Morty. He doesn't want him to turn evil, he wants him to continue being the Mortiest Morty, because Rick remembers what happened before and doesn't want to repeat it.
Now let's talk about predictions for a second. I think the Mortiest Morty and the Rickest Morty will eventually fight. I also believe the Mortiest Rick and the Rickest Morty will team up and be the enemies of the show, at least for a couple episodes.
And that's our fan theory. And by the way, if you haven't checked out Dapperton's channel yet, please do so. The link is in the description box and it'll be in the end screen too.